today's story is going to be a big boy one. We are going to be talking about the Titanic. And I love the Titanic. Always been fascinated by it. I love the movie. I think I watch it about once a year, if not more. And I'm just love the history behind it. So we're going to be talking about it today. Alright. The Titanic, often dubbed the unsinkable ship, was grand and opulent. The ocean liner that tragically met its fate on its maiden voyage. Launched in 1912, this remarkable vessel was a marvel of engineering and luxury, designed to carry passengers across the Atlantic in unparalleled comfort. However, the Titanic's journey would be cut short by a devastating collision with an iceberg, leaving an incredible mark on history. Grandeur and Luxury. The Titanic was a true masterpiece of its time, boasting 9 luxurious decks filled with elegant staterooms, lavish dining areas, and lounges. Passengers from all walks of life could indulge in its amenities, from the extravagant first-class accommodations to the more modest options in second and third class. Tragic maiden voyage. On April 10th, 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton, England, on its inaugural, that's a hard word, guys, I'm so sorry, voyage to New York City. However, just 4 days into the journey, disaster struck when the ship collided with an iceberg on April 14th. Despite efforts to save the ship, the Titanic's inadequate number of lifeboats and the frigid waters of the North Atlantic led to the loss of over 1,500 lives. Heroism and tragedy. The sinking of the Titanic highlighted both the heroism of its crew and passengers and the devastating consequences. Brave individuals, including crew members and passengers, worked tirelessly to save lives, while others faced heartbreaking decisions in the chaos of the disaster. Enduring legacy. The Titanic's tragic sinking led to a significant change in maritime safety regulations, including requirements for more lifeboats and improved communication systems. And I think from what I've read, I'm not sure if it'll be brought up in here, I think from what I've read, their communication, Jesus Christ, what's that called? Morse code, DTD thingy. It was actually broken, and the communication guys had to fix it while the ship was sinking. But anyway, back to the story. The ship's story since became a symbol of fragility of technology and the importance of valuing safety over arrogance. The Titanic was a symbol of luxury, ambition, and human innovation that met a tragic end due to a collision with an iceberg. The loss of life and lessons learned from the disaster continue to shape maritime practices and serve as a reminder of the delicate balance between human ingenuity and the forces of nature. Alright, survivor testimonies. Numerous survivors of the Titanic disaster shared their accounts of the ship's collision with the iceberg, the chaotic evacuation, and the heartbreaking scenes of passengers struggling for their lives on the icy waters. Shipwreck discoveries. The discovery of the Titanic's wreck in 1985 proved physical evidence of the ship's structural damage. The wreckage offered insights into the force of the collision and the challenges faced by the crew and passengers. Iceberg damage. Analysis of the iceberg that the Titanic struck revealed signs of contact with the ship, including paint scrapings and metal fragments. This physical evidence supported survivors' accounts of the collision. Wireless messages. The distress calls and wireless messages sent by the Titanic's crew before the sinking, as well as the responses from nearby ships, provide documented communication that underscores the urgency of the situation. Some theories are inadequate lookouts. Some theories suggest that the lack of proper lookouts and warning systems contributed to Titanic's collision with the iceberg. It's proposed that if the iceberg had been spotted sooner, the disaster might have been averted, which I kind of agree with this, but if there was no water breaking against it, then, they couldn't see it. It was nighttime, and it was dark. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere. on the water with just the moon and the stars. So, speed and navigation. Another theory focuses on the Titanic's speed and navigation decisions. Some speculate that the ship was traveling too fast in icy waters, making it difficult to maneuver or avoid obstacles. Design flaws. Some researchers argue that Titanic's design, including the bulkhead configuration and insignificant number of lifeboats, played a role in the high casualty count. These design flaws limited the ship's ability to withstand the collision and safely evacuate passengers. Crew training and procedures. It's theorized that inadequate crew training and unfamiliarity with new safety procedures may have contributed to the confusion and the delays during the evacuation process. Miscommunication. The wireless communication failures between the Titanic and nearby ships are thought to have hindered rescue efforts. Misunderstandings and misinterpretations of messages might have delayed assistance. The evidence surrounding the disaster includes survivor testimonies, physical remnants of the shipwreck, iceberg analysis, and wireless messages. Various theories explore factors such as lookout, navigation decisions, design flaw, crew training, and communication failure, while the exact sequence of events leading to the Titanic's sinking remains a subject of study and debate. The tragedy's lasting impact has led to advancements in maritime safety and navigation practices. Eyewitness testimonies. Harold Bride, wireless operator. Quote, "As the Titanic was sinking, I heard the desperate cries for help over the wireless. The messages were heart-wrenching, filled with pain and sorrow and panic. It was a haunting reminder of the tragedy unfolding before us." End quote. Eva Hart, survivor. Quote, "I remember the chilling sound of the iceberg scraping against the ship's hull. The impact shook the cabin, and we felt a sudden jolt. The chaos that followed, with people scrambling and the ship tilting, it's etched in my memory forever." Unquote. Charles Lightoller, second officer. Quote, "I witnessed the lifeboats being lowered with agonizing realization that there weren't enough for everyone. It was a harrowing sight, seeing people clinging to hope and trying to find safety amidst the darkness and freezing water." End quote. Jack Thayer, passenger. Quote, "I could see the ship's lights gradually disappearing as it sank into the water. The cries for help grew fainter, and the isolation of being in the open ocean, surrounded by darkness, is an indescribable feeling." End quote. These eyewitness testimonies provide glimpses into the terror and chaos that unfolded during the Titanic disaster. Their stories serve as a powerful reminder of the human toll and resilience amidst one of the most famous disasters in history. While the Titanic is not typically associated with hauntings like some other locations, there have been a few reported paranormal experiences and eerie phenomenon related to the ship. Keep in mind that these stories are anecdotal and not widely confirmed. Some alleged hauntings include the sound of phantom footsteps. Visitors and crew members have reported hearing unexplained footsteps echoing the empty halls and the corridors of the Titanic's replica, which is now part of the Titanic Museum attraction in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Cold spots and apparitions. Some visitors claim to have felt sudden drops in temperature and sensed ghostly presences while touring the museum. They described seeing shadowy figures or hearing whispers, adding an air of mystery to their experience. Spirit of Captain Smith. Captain Edward Smith, who was at the helm of the Titanic during its ill-fated voyage, is said to have been seen by some ghostly figure. By some ghostly figures? Yeah, the ghosts see the ghosts. Is said to have been seen by some as a ghostly figure in the vicinity of the ship. Some visitors and staff members have reported encountering the authoritative presence resembling the ship's captain. Artifacts with residual energy. Objects salvaged from the wreck and put on display, like personal belongings and furnishings, are said to carry a sense of residual energy. Some individuals claim to have felt a connection to the past or experienced unexplained sensations while viewing these artifacts. Glimpses of ghostly figures. Reports of shadowy figures and apparitions have added an element of intrigue to the Titanic's lore. Some individuals claim to have seen fleeting glimpses of ghostly forms, prompting discussions about whether the spirits of those who perished may still roam the ship's metaphorical halls. Artifact resonance. Artifacts salvaged from the Titanic's wreck, preserved and displayed, have been described as carrying a unique energy. Some visitors report feeling a connection to the past while viewing these relics, suggesting that the items may retain a residue of the ship's history. Some evidence and theories about the haunting of the Titanic are eyewitness testimonies from the museum, hearing footsteps, whispers, and sensations like cold spots. The artifacts being in close proximity to them and feeling some kind of energy coming off of them. And then some theories are residual energy. The immersive experience of the Titanic is contributed to a heightened sense of presence and engagement, potentially leading to sensory perceptions that some interpret as paranormal. And then collective imagination. The emotional weight of Titanic's history may influence visitors' perceptions, causing them to interpret ordinary sensations as paranormal phenomenon, which can tie into psychological factors also. While evidence for the hauntings on the Titanic remain largely anecdotal, these experiences continue to captivate visitors and fuel discussions about the boundaries between physical and metaphysical realms. Theories involving residual energy, immersive environments, collective imagination, and psychological factors offer potential explanations for any reported paranormal encounters of the ship's replica. Eyewitness testimonies of Titanic's hauntings. Megan's whispers at night. Quote, "During my visit to the Titanic Museum, I was alone in a dimly lit corridor. Suddenly, I heard faint whispers, like hushed conversations. It sent shivers down my spine as I turned around, only to find no one there." End quote. John Cold's encounter. Quote, "I was exploring the first-class staterooms when I felt an intense cold spot. The temperature plummeted, and I could see my breath. It was as if someone was trying to communicate. I had never experienced anything like that." Unquote. Emily's eerie footsteps. Quote, "As I was walking down a corridor, I distinctly heard footsteps follow behind me. I turned around, expecting to see another visitor, but there was no one there. The sound was so clear that it felt like I was sharing the space with an unseen presence." David's haunting apparition. Quote, "I was admiring a display of personal items from the Titanic when I saw a figure out of the corner of my eye. It looked like a woman in a period dress. When I turned to get a better look, she vanished. It left me with a mix of wonder and unease." These eyewitness accounts provide a glimpse into the intriguing world of the Titanic hauntings. From the eerie whispers and the encounters and the cold spots, the ship has an iconic legacy. And I think, personally, if they had hit the iceberg head on, they probably would have sank, but they probably would have sank slower, because it only took about 2 hours, and maybe they got another hour or so if they had just hit it head on. But I definitely think that they were going too fast. If you guys have any Titanic stories, or you visited the museum, or you had relatives that were on board or were supposed to be on board but didn't go on, put them in the comments, because I really love reading these kinds of stories.